The story of the dog did not begin with a single wolf, a single human, or a single moment in history. It began with a population. Across thousands of years, a small number of wolves living near human communities slowly became different from wolves living everywhere else. The change was so gradual that no person alive at the time could have recognized it. Yet evolution rarely announces itself. It works quietly, generation after generation, until small differences become impossible to ignore. Most wolves across Eurasia remained exactly as they had always been. They hunted wild prey, defended their territories, and avoided humans whenever possible. Their survival depended on remaining wary of anything unfamiliar. But a handful of wolf populations occupied a very different ecological world. Living close to people exposed them to new opportunities, new risks, and entirely new selective pressures that no wolf had experienced before. Unlike their distant relatives, these wolves no longer depended exclusively on pursuing large game across open landscapes. Human camps provided a reliable source of discarded bones, scraps of meat, animal fat, hides, and other remains. These resources were unpredictable from day to day, but remarkably consistent across generations. For wolves capable of exploiting them safely, the energetic cost of finding food could be significantly lower than that of traditional hunting. This new environment favored flexibility over specialization. Wolves that could quickly adapt to changing conditions often survived better than those relying on fixed behavioral patterns. They learned to recognize routines, identify periods of low risk, and exploit opportunities without provoking conflict. None of these abilities required human training. They emerged naturally because individuals possessing them left more descendants. As generations passed, inherited behavioral tendencies slowly accumulated within these local populations. Scientists believe that traits related to fear, curiosity, stress response, and social flexibility gradually shifted under continuous natural selection. The changes were subtle. No single trait transformed a wolf into something entirely different. Instead, numerous small behavioral differences began working together, producing animals whose responses to the human world were no longer identical to those of fully wild wolves. Modern genetic research suggests that domestication was not driven by a single genetic mutation. Instead, many genes associated with brain development, hormone regulation, learning, and behavior appear to have changed gradually over long periods of time. Evolution acted not on one dramatic discovery, but on countless tiny variations already present within wild wolf populations. One of the most important biological systems involved in this process was the body's response to stress. Every wild animal must constantly judge danger. React too slowly, and survival becomes impossible. React too quickly, and valuable opportunities are lost. Individuals whose stress responses were slightly better suited to the increasingly predictable environment surrounding human settlements may have gained a consistent evolutionary advantage. They remained cautious, but not overwhelmed by fear. Researchers have observed similar patterns in modern studies of animal domestication. Across many domesticated species, selection for reduced fear often produces a surprising cascade of biological changes. Alterations in hormones can influence behavior, development, reproduction, and even physical appearance over many generations. These changes do not occur all at once, nor do they follow a perfectly uniform path, but they demonstrate how selecting for behavior alone can gradually reshape an entire population. Even so, these animals were still wolves. Their bodies remained powerful and athletic. Their senses remained exceptionally sharp. They continued hunting when opportunities arose and raised their young according to the same social structures that had guided wolf packs for countless generations. If an observer from the Ice Age had encountered them, there would have been no obvious reason to call them anything else. This long transitional period presents one of the greatest challenges for modern science. Archaeologists cannot point to a single skeleton and confidently declare this was the first dog. Evolution does not create clear boundaries. Instead, it produces generations of animals occupying the space between established categories. Some individuals were almost indistinguishable from wild wolves.
Others displayed combinations of behavioral and biological traits that hinted at a different evolutionary future. Because of this gradual transition, researchers often use the term proto-dog to describe these early populations. The term does not identify a separate species or a universally accepted classification. Rather, it acknowledges that some wolves had already begun moving along the evolutionary pathway that would eventually lead to domestic dogs, even though they still retained most characteristics of their wild ancestors. Importantly, this process did not occur everywhere. It unfolded independently within particular environments where ecological conditions favored close, repeated contact between wolves and humans. Many wolf populations never experienced these pressures at all, continuing their ancient way of life, unchanged for thousands of years. Without realizing it, humans had become a new force of natural selection, not by capturing wolves, not by breeding them, simply by existing. Camps, refuse, predictable movement, and stable food sources created an environment unlike anything wolves had encountered before. Evolution responded exactly as it always had, by favoring individuals best suited to survive within changing conditions. The divide between wolf and dog had not yet been crossed, but the path toward that divide was becoming clearer with every generation. Somewhere among these quiet populations lived animals that still looked like wolves, still behaved largely like wolves, yet carried the first biological foundations of a partnership that would one day spread across every continent on Earth.